And welcome back to the Profile Pod. I'm your host, a double A. We're back for another spectacular episode. Thank you so much for being here, wherever you're tuning in from. We ran a little behind schedule, but here we are. Again, it's a pleasure being here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and all the support and love on social media. It's a pleasure, and so we have a guest here tonight, man. Again, I always say that this is the podcast that brings on individuals doing extraordinary things in life to inspire the human spirit. And tonight, that there's no exception to that. Before I get into our guest, before I introduce our guest who's standing by, this is an interactive interview. So if you want to post a comment for our guest or myself or a question, feel free to post that in the comment section, and I'll do the best I can to get you on, get the question or comment on, and then give you a shout out. So I always want to remind everybody of that. It's an interactive podcast here, interactive episode. So let's go ahead and get into brass tacks. Like I said, this young lady, our guest, is hails from East Los Angeles, California originally, and now she's in Boston, attending Boston University, studying acting. She's getting ready to go abroad in the springtime for she actually and she's going to London to study acting under the Lambda program. So and we're going to talk about all that. She just recently got cast for Macho, which is Verloren Productions' upcoming project, and she's doing all kinds of stuff. So she's here to talk about all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Blanca Isabella. Blanca, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good, Blanca. I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. There's so much to talk about. You're just doing big things in life, and like I said, this podcast is all about inspiration, which you are doing, and thank you for being who you are, inspiring all of us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me come on. This is my first podcast interview. I'm so grateful to be interviewed by you, and I have no idea what you're gonna ask me, really, but I'm excited. A little bit
Oh,
nervous, but I'm excited overall.
well, don't worry. No, it's all good. Hey, well, what a milestone, and what a privilege for me to have you, on it for your first time on an interview on a podcast. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because I mean, you're doing big things, Blanca.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thank you.
How You're welcome. You're welcome, and so welcome. Thank you for taking the time. And how's Boston today? Is it pretty chilly out there?
It's freezing. Boston, I'm definitely an LA girl. I'm not built for the cold. I've gotten used to it. I'm in my third year of college, but it's freezing over here. Definitely.
I bet it's when I was in the Navy, I went to the Washington State,
Uh-huh.
and being a California boy myself, sunshine in Southern California, and then up there it's a lot of rain, a lot of rain.
Yes.
It's colder, and I had a hard time adjusting for the first couple months. How were you able to adjust, or have you adjusted, or how do you cope with it?
Well, that's a good word. How do you cope with it? Well, I remember I was so excited because I've never experienced snow, and I thought to myself, oh my god, I'm gonna be like in the snow, snowball fights, snow angels, all of that. And then the first day of snow hit, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And then the snow started turning the cement into like mud. It was like a mud slushy, and I was like, this is not the way that the movies show it. And then by the third day, I was over it. I was like, take me back to LA.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I mean, now it's fine. I've gotten used to it. I know what to wear. Definitely layering up and everything. But yeah, you get through it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You're a tough girl, I bet. And but Boston University, not a lot of people know and about Boston University's some of their really notable alumni. Um,
Yes.
for example, and I just found this out. I'll be honest. Dr. Martin Luther King got his PhD at
Yes.
Boston University.
MLK, AOC.
Hmm.
Um, we also have a lot of amazing actors and creators. Uzu Aduba went to our school.
Julianne Moore, correct?
Leanne Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, some really great people. It's a
I,
really Raul Castillo. If you've seen Vida by Tanya Saracho, also went to BU, creator of
mm,
Vida, creator of so many amazing plays like Fade, and she's just an amazing Latina in Hollywood right now. But yes, she's also a BU alumni.
yeah, exactly. It's a really impressive list of people. Howard Stern is one of my all-time favorites
Uh,
as an interviewer,
yeah.
and radio host, and so yeah, very impressive. BU, and what kind of inspired you, or what was that? Take us a little bit back, a few years, and how did you end up at BU, and as opposed to all the other
Uh,
options that are out there at
yeah.
universities?
Yeah, so I did the whole, auditioning for several conservatories, and I had my top list. But ultimately, it came down to BU because, well, financial aid, they were very generous in that. And also the opportunity to study abroad, it's a requirement for acting students. And that's something that you don't get with a lot of other conservatories. You stay at that university, and at BU they encourage you in your third year to study abroad, whether that's in Italy doing Commedia dell'arte or going to Lambda studying classical acting or any other part of the world. They just think it's important that actors go somewhere else, gain life experiences, because that's ultimately what feeds you as an actor and what you build off of. And that excited me because I was like, wow, I get to study in the UK and, on the East Coast. And that's just an amazing opportunity. And I really wanted to do that.
That's awesome. Wow. How did it feel when you found that you were accepted into that program for
Oh,
Lambda?
yeah, I was so excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a feeling that things would work out. You have to have that for yourself, like it's gonna happen. But once it actually, I get the acceptance letter, it was emotional, but it was great. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been some moment for you. Uh, how long ago did you find out?
About Lambda, I found out
Yeah.
about, I'd say a little over a month ago. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the process to apply for that particular program? Is it an audition? Is it based on academics?
Yeah, so it's you have to apply through BU. So you have to apply your grades, and also you have to get a letter of recommendation from professors, from your acting teachers, saying if they think you're ready to take a step in that journey. And I got through that. And then they also asked for a classical Shakespearean monologue, and I did Lady M. Was the Hope Drunk, Wherein You Dress Yourself. It's a great speech, if anyone knows it. But I did that piece, and they liked it, so I got in. And I'm really excited, and I have a lot of peers as well who are coming with me. So it's great that I'm having new experiences, but I'm also going with this, ensemble of people that I've already built relationships with.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on that.
So I
Uh, uh,
appreciate.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you leave in January, come back, I think April, right?
Yes, mid-April.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And
I've never been overseas like that. Like I've never been to Europe, so I'm so excited to just see everything. And I've joked with my friends. I'm like, I don't care. You guys think I'm silly. I'm doing all the touristy things because this might be my only time going to London, and I want to experience all of it. And I told them, I said, we all have to book a tour to the Shakespeare's Globe, and we're gonna tell the tour guide, hey, can we have like a moment on stage? We're all acting students from the US. Can we do a monologue? Because we might not get cast in a Boston Globe show. You think we can make that happen? And we're all gonna be on the tour, and they'll be like, oh yeah, oh little Americans, here you go. And that'd be so cool to actually do a monologue on that stage. I would love it. So I'm gonna try to make that happen.
oh wow, that's
Hopefully.
like a dream, right? I
I
mean,
know. Hopefully they let that happen. But yes, just to be there in general. I don't think I'm actually gonna believe that it's real until I'm like on the flight over there.
mm.
And I tell my grandparents about it all the time. I'm like, voy a ir a Inglaterra, and they're like, oh, qué bueno. They don't understand it either, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, that's awesome, Blanc. I mean, to go to London, I mean, just That's great in itself, in and of itself. But to go study acting, like your passion, I mean, that's just like it
Yes.
doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You're also a graduate of LACSA, which is a Los Angeles County High School for the Arts.
Yes, I
Yeah,
was a
and
theater major. Yeah,
right.
that
And
really set me up for so much success because
mm,
prior to Laksa, I didn't really have like classical acting training. Prior to that, I had taken like sketch comedy classes at this place called East LA Rep, and that was in East LA, and it was acting classes for the youth, and it was taught by a lot of Chicano theater teachers and one of my acting teachers, Adam Jacobo, he was like, "Hey, there's this school. You should audition for it. For high school. It's not that far. It's in El Sereno. You know, you should audition." And I just remember that was like my goal. Ever since he told me, I was like, "Okay, that's where I'm gonna go." And I looked at the requirements when it was time, and it's like you got to have a monologue. I didn't even know what a monologue was up until that point, and then I like looked it up, and it's like a speech by yourself on stage. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they like provided a list of plays, recommended speeches from plays, and I was like, okay, I'll do that one and that one. And because I didn't know plays like that either. I didn't grow up going to the theater. I grew up with a single mom, and if there was any theater that we went to go see, it was like Casa or like the Frida Kahlo Theater.
mm,
And so I didn't really see a lot of like well-known, must see American plays. I didn't grow up with that. So I grew up as going to Hollywood Video and Blockbuster. Like I was a movie kid.
okay.
And and so I looked up those monologues. I memorized them, and then we were at Tacos El Gavilan with my grandparents. We got the email, and my mom was like, "Okay, do you want me to open it or do you want to open it?" And I was like, "You open it." And I'm already crying because I'm like, who knows what's gonna happen. And she's like, "You got in," and I learned so much being there. I got to do so much on camera acting with the cinematic arts students. So much I learned about the American theater and important plays of the canon.
Mm,
However, I will say that going to East LA Rep prior to this helped me a lot because of my surroundings. I was one of two Latinas in my acting group, and it wasn't until that experience that I like realized just like the demographics of acting classes and just like the industry in general.
uh-huh.
And I just remember, being taught that Shakespeare was important, Chekhov is important, Arthur Miller is important, and of course, and I love their works, but I knew going in that I also had Chicano theater and that existed, and I had that as a backbone for myself, So I wasn't as easily influenced with this is the end all be all, this is the holy grail, because I knew my history
Mm,
before that, and I'm very
right.
grateful for that. Um, so Loxa was great. I learned so many things from it, and yeah, it was a
Yeah.
it was a great experience. And if you are thinking about going to performing arts high school, I highly recommend Loxa. I owe so much to my growth to that school and to the professors there.
Wow. I can't. Yeah. Being an actor myself, I can't even. That what how I can't even imagine what kind of experience that was because uh, I mean you received some training and you a lot of training I should say probably right. I mean not some but a significant amount I would imagine and just to just that experience. Were you there for 4 years, Blanca?
Yes, yes, freshman year to senior year.
Freshman
Yeah.
year, senior. So you were in actual what it was? You were in junior high when you learned about Laksa, right?
Yes. And
And
I was
okay.
like from like six, like this. I think I was about 11 years old when I found out that it existed from my acting teacher, and I
Hmm.
was like, okay. And and I remember seventh grade, I was like, okay, I have to prepare for this audition. And I didn't have to audition until the end of my eighth grade year, but I was like, all right, it starts now,
Mm,
because that was my everything at the time. And so I was like, at break reading A Member of the Wedding, which is one of the plays that I did a speech from, and like reading the book and then reading the play, what translated from the book into the play. Like I was also, I'm just a huge nerd. So it just like worked out for me to do this. Yeah.
What that's what an example though that it, Blanca, you are a great example because you prepared like a year and a half before you actually had to audition, right?
Yeah, that was everything to me.
Gosh,
Like it was,
yeah.
yeah.
Me, I would have been like, I'll put it off till next week, and
Yeah.
but good for you. That's like I said, what an inspiration, what an example, and what a model student you are. To
Exactly.
and here you are. Here you are. I mean, it's paying dividends. You're on your way to London to study acting, and gosh, good for you. Hey, Blanca, if I may, real quick, mention we have our good friend Ralph Esparza from Verloren.
Oh,
He's
Ralph, hi.
in the house, right? Verloren Productions. How you doing, Ralph?
I love
Yeah.
Ralph.
So yeah, great guy. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, my good friend Joe is here. So we have some people here watching, and but yeah. So you've been actually acting since before middle school, junior high, correct?
Yes, so the way that acting came into my life was I always joke and be like, I've been acting since I came out. I've been dramatic since I came out. But truly, I didn't truly start acting classes until I was around 10, 11. And to me, that was so late. I know to other people, it's like, wow, okay. But at that moment, like I was so hungry for it, as a little girl, you hear like, oh, there's acting classes in Sherman Oaks and there's acting classes in Burbank, and all that stuff. And I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, I want to go and, start doing this. And my mom, it just wasn't possible at the time because, we lived in Baldwin Park, which was very far. And my mom was, single mother working at Edison. My grandparents would take care of me during the day. And, we just didn't have the time or the money to invest in expensive acting classes because they're expensive, especially in LA. Like they're really
Oh yeah,
expensive, you know.
absolutely.
So it just wasn't a possibility at that time, and not because my mom's not supportive. My mom has been supportive of me and everything that I do. To a certain extent, she keeps me level headed, but
I hear you.
but she's as far as my dreams, she's always been super supportive of me. But it was
Mhm.
like she's like right now we can't do that, but then we found out that they were doing these affordable acting classes in East LA. And she's like, okay, like, let's start, we'll start going there. And we had heard about it because we were going to, she would take me to Chicanas, Cholas y Chisme, at
Mm.
Casa 10101. And we would see those sketches and then we, talk to people and they'd be like, oh, yeah, take her to East LA Rep. And that's how I found out about it. And I was there for a year and I just got super close with Adam. Shout out to Adam Jacobo. He is my first acting teacher, and he's the first teacher who really ever saw my talent and saw me as an artist. So that means everything. And yeah, that's truly everything to a young kid who wants to do this. So huge
Mhm.
shout out to Adam Jacobo.
Yeah.
And he's the one that told me about Loxa. And that was my first time that I saw acting as like a true possibility of like, oh, I can do this like I can really do this like for my life. Cause
Mhm.
it was always a dream. But the second I started doing acting classes and I had someone believe in me, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, like I can actually do this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cause before that I was like, yeah, I never had that moment of like, oh, I was in a play because I wasn't in a play, growing up as a little kid. My school didn't do that. So I never had that like aha moment. It just
Uh,
was. And like I know that sounds so weird, but like, growing up watching movies, like it just always was like in me, like, oh, like and I swear my mom and I would watch, we'd rent a movie from Hollywood Video, watch the movie, and then the next day she's driving me to my grandparents, and I'm like, and then in the movie, the person said this and this and that, and then the person said this, and she's like, Blanca, we watched the movie together. And I'm like, no, no, no. But then, so yeah. And
You're
so like
reciting the whole movie.
reciting the whole movie. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you that. Like, did you ever have that one moment where, like, that defining moment where you said, "This is it. This is what I want to do for my the rest, for my the rest of my life, or something like that, or for a career."
Yeah. Just
But it's
always, yeah, yeah.
when I was a kid, myself, I used to love going to Universal Studios. You
Yes.
know,
Oh, I
right?
love
And how you know, and you've seen the behind the scenes of all those different sound stages and everything, right? The back lots, and just being fascinated with the whole process, movie making and television and what have you.
yeah.
Um, yeah, right. And I think that's just an inspirational place. If you're into that, if you're, or in general, right? I think it's really cool to see how things get done and how they're created and produced.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember,
you know,
it's interesting
but
that you bring up like the studio tour, right?
yes,
At Universal. I loved going on that as a little kid. And I remember my my friend, he invited me to go to Universal like in high school. He was studying cinematic arts. I remember sitting down and we're watching everything and I was just like, it's so funny. Like we're in this tram. I could literally like reach my hand out and touch like a plastic plant right now as we drive by. But it's like it's so close, but it's so far. And I just felt like again, that's where like Loxa made me think about the demographics of acting.
mm,
And it was just like I think it's so strange that especially, communities of color, you have LA youth that live in the city of Los Angeles that are talented and they're not, the arts are not accessible and they live in a city where it's supposed to be, Hollywood, city of dreams and all that. And it's like kids from here don't always reap those benefits.
very
And I
true.
remember really realizing that of like I would get frustrated sometimes. And this is another thing that I learned from Loxa, which was like not necessarily something that they taught me, but just from an observation of like, I'd have some peers where they came from a family of like my father's a producer, my so and so is that like it's the family business to be in
Mm,
the entertainment industry, and that's like so not my story. And there's some that they have that and they work super hard, but there was also some that it wasn't in them. They didn't have the passion for it, and that's also sucks for them. They're being forced to do something that they don't want to do. But I
yeah,
remember they would come like not memorized, unprepared, and it would irk me because I was like, dude, if you only knew how many people I know who would kill to be in your
yeah.
seat right now. Like so
Wow.
many people from my neighborhood that like would love just one day to like show what they have in this class, and just like yeah. So you bringing up the Universal Studios, it just reminds me of that day of like when we're on that
Mm,
tram. It's me thinking of like how so many LA youth are so
yeah,
close to this industry and yet so far away from it. And I've been really privileged in that I've had training and I have been one of the lucky few to like go into that school and like do certain things. And but honestly, I'm so tired, and I feel like as a collective, within the Latina community, like we're tired of that whole narrative of like the one who made it out or like the lucky one. It's like why is it
yeah,
only like one or few? Like it should be by this point it should be the norm to have a bunch of Asian kids, a bunch of Black kids, a bunch of Latina kids in an
mhm.
acting studio. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
quite there yet. It's getting better, but we're not quite
It
there.
is, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right, Blanca. Yeah, that's like you said. That's always been the narrative and like the novelty. Oh my gosh, he made it! Yeah, he and there's and shout out to all the pioneers, right?
Yeah.
Who've come before us to break ground and to spearhead that movement and open doors for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's always baffled me, like you know, yeah, there's Latino, there's, I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, right? East Los Angeles is right there. I mean, we're like in the mecca of Latinos. And I mean, there's a lot of Mexican American Latinos in Los Angeles and Southern California, and like you see somebody be cast, for a Latino role that's not Latino, or you know what I mean. So you see that, and it's getting better, but that always kind of baffled me. Like you guys couldn't find a real authentic Mexican American or Latino to cast for that role. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, that's a great point that you bring up, um but yeah, like individuals like yourself are paving the way, and knocking down those doors, and really making headway. So yeah, absolutely, Blanca. And so, Blanca, yeah, what for? I know you received training, and I want to ask you, because I'm an actor myself, and what do you do, based on your training, to get you into that a space, into that creative space, like when you're gonna, whether it's auditioning, whether it's you know preparing for a scene, whether you're on camera, on stage, or maybe they're different dynamics, but just,
Yeah.
or just talk about some of those things that you do based on your training to really get you into that creative, get into your character.
Yeah. Oh, it's such an interesting question. Because it's so individual based on what the material calls for.
Mm,
And I know a lot of actors that I've worked with, and I've called my peers, that have a very specific, almost like ritual with each thing that they take on, and I admire that, and I think that's amazing.
mm,
Um, but I feel like with each thing that I've taken on so far in my journey, it has been an individual process, and I think that has a lot to do with me going from different schools of thought, different schools of acting. I've kind of cherry picked, oh, I like this from that method. I like this from, Uta Hagen. I like that from Adler. This is cool from
mm,
Meisner. This is cool from Atlantic. Um, so it really depends on what it calls for. Now, when it comes to certain material, like when it comes to Shakespeare, that's where I'm very meticulous about, like that's where I am, like very ritualistic, where I'm like, okay, what is this meter or is this verse? If it's verse, oh my god, the homework. It's like, okay,
mm,
what's when is it a feminine ending? Meaning like there's 11 syllables in the line. Okay, what is the character going through there? What are the words that I don't know? When are they repeating words? When are they hooking? Like when is it, for example, in Lady M, Macbeth says, I dare do all that may become a man who dares do more is none. And then she says, when you durst do it, then you are a man. So when is she like, kind of like, when you mock someone in an argument and you're like, oh yeah, da 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 da, oh yeah, da da da. And you like, it's like a pinch and an ouch, like, like a tennis game. So
mm.
like with Shakespeare, it's like very specific, but with contemporary text, um, it depends on what it calls for, and I'm very lucky that I have so many things that I can pull from, um, but I
Blanca,
will.
you're putting us up on game. I love it. Dropping the gems.
Oh my god,
That's amazing, amazing. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
Listen, my mind goes so fast,
I love
like
it.
you gotta slow me down sometimes because I
No,
gotta
no, no. I mean, I'm just impressed. I'm soaking all that in. I mean, that's
think.
amazing. Yeah,
um,
that's great. That's great.
but yeah, it all depends, and especially when you're working with like writers, which I think Loxa, BU, you know, I have learned so much. The most growth that I've gained as an actor has been working with playwrights, and I've been really
Wow.
fortunate working with a lot of, like, doing a lot of new work, and literally working. You're working on a scene and the playwright's right there, making sure there's a comma right there. Like,
Yeah.
can I hear the comma? And I never thought of that before working with playwrights, but now I'm like, oh yeah, putting myself in the shoes of like someone writing and being like, the punctuation matters, and what does that say? If you have a period, okay. If you have an ellipses, wow, that's a gift.
Uh-huh.
Like what are you gonna do with that? And I love working with writers because yeah, like I know it might be frustrating for some people because they're like, damn, you got to be word perfect. But I mean, you want to serve a story, and I feel like that's a huge, at least from my perspective. I don't want to speak for others, but from my perspective as an actor, I want to serve the story, and working with writers has really helped me build that muscle. But I mean,
Uh-huh.
there's so much like, and again, I'm still learning because there might be things that now I like, and later I'm like, oh my god, why did I put myself through that method? Like
Uh-huh.
why did I do like the where was I when this happened and now I have to cry? Like why did I do that before? That's so bad for me. But like now, you know what I mean? So like there's some, I feel like acting is like like life. I mean, acting is for me, it's a reflection of humanity, and I feel like
Mm.
as a person you're always learning, and as an actor, my god, are you always going to learn and be better, and hopefully so, right? I mean, I feel like you never want to know. I mean, you always hear actors say like, I want to be challenged, because you really do. Like, it's not just them being pretentious and being like, oh yes, I wanted to challenge. Like, you really do want to be
Yeah.
challenged. You want to be surprised by the other and by yourself, and the moment to moment work that you're doing. I will say that at BU, something that I did get that was very specific, with that has to do with like moment to moment receiving information from the other. Um, we worked with like more like Atlantic School of Acting. This is like a method of acting that David Mamet, who's also like word for word, you better get
Yes. I heard
in
about him. Yeah.
yes,
He's a playwright originally, and
yes, playwright,
they,
actor, acting teacher. Um,
there's a
and
great movie by him. I'm sorry,
oh, go
Blanca.
ahead.
I was just going to mention real quickly one of a real cool movie that I really enjoy called Glenn Ross,
Uh-huh.
which he wrote, I think, originally for the stage, a
Mhm.
play, and it was adapted into a screenplay as a movie. Al Pacino and Kevin Spacey was in. Anyways, but yeah, I heard about him as he's very particular about punctuation and commas and pauses and based on the grammar and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be scary as an actor because sometimes like you're in the moment and you like, but I think it's a good challenge to get things work perfect. But he created this school of acting that's now taught at NYU. It's called the Atlantic School of Acting, and we learned it here at BU. And it's kind of like, it's basically, to put it in short, it's a whole book. If like, to anyone who wants to read it, it's called The Practical Handbook for the Actor. I highly recommend it. But to like do a very short summary of it, um, you really place your need slash want in the other. And I feel like as actors, sometimes it could be like, okay, what do I, what's going on with me in the scene? What do I need to do? But like when you put your everything on the other person, like to me, at least in my experience, it has made my listening better as an actor. And I think listening is so important as an actor. Um, and it's also made this, we always say like raise the stakes. You got to raise the stakes. It makes the stakes, higher, because even though you know the ending of the play, right? You know the ending of the scene, you know who's gonna win, who's not gonna win, who gets what they want, who doesn't. In this moment, I need this person to do this, because if not this, and every thing is being held on to, are you winning? Did you win? If you're not winning, then try something else. Try another tactic, and just really placing your objective on the other person. And that's really, um it's made, I feel like it has made me a better scene partner for sure, of just like really, investing in the other person, what they're giving me verbally, physically, and fighting for what you want.
I love this stuff. Like the technicalities and the
Yeah.
intricacies of acting is just. I mean, if you, it's just for those. I mean, even myself, I've never had any really technical training.
Yeah.
Um, to the extent that you've had, I mean, it's so cool to hear and to actually learn some of that. And I'm just really like just impressed right now. It's so cool
Thank
to hear you talking about this, Blanca. Who are some of your early influences, or maybe just yeah, early influences as
you.
actors? Who were some actors that you really like? Just I mean, you were just like wow, blown away by and really impressed by early on, and early on and now as well.
Okay, again, I'm a nerd. Okay, so no, but like
Dog.
truly, I'm such I'm such a nerd about all of this stuff, and so growing up, my grandma, I would go to my grandparents' house after school, and they would take care of me until my mom would come and pick me up. And I remember after school, I'd come home, my grandma's cooking, I'd sit on the couch and I'd turn on My 13 because from 3 to 5 they had reruns of I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah.
And I Love Lucy will forever. If there's anything you need to know about me, I Love Lucy is my favorite show of all time because, man, I've learned so much from that ensemble about
Mm.
acting, but also just in like comedy, right? But in general, so much
Mm.
about being a professional. Um, and I yes, so everyone from that cast, I have a sweet spot for that whole show, and also because, and I feel like it's so interesting. I didn't really realize this until later on. I thought it was like such a niche, like oh my god, like I watch I Love Lucy, right? But I remember learning, later on that like so many like Chicanos love I Love Lucy because of Ricky Ricardo and
Yeah.
Lucy, Lucy Ricardo's dynamic, and like having being able to like have the family laugh with Ricky and laugh with Lucy. And that's literally the dynamic that I have with my grandmother because, she understands English fairly well, but for her, she gets the physical comedy from Lucy. And then she can also get like the ad libs that Ricky has every now and there. And so I could laugh, I could enjoy that with my grandparents. And that was very special to me. So early on influence, definitely I Love Lucy. And now there's so many people. I go through phases where like every other week I'm I'll watch a movie and then I become fascinated with an actor, and then that that like whole following week I'm just like going on their IMDb and being like, okay,
Yeah.
what's that movie? What's this interview? Da, 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 da. Like last week it was Val Kilmer. I was all about Val Kilmer
Oh.
because I saw Tombstone recently. Oh my
Oh.
god,
Right.
amazing, amazing. And also watch his documentary called Val. It
Yeah.
is so good.
I was watching the. I started. I didn't get to finish it, but very cool. Very
Incredible,
cool story.
incredible. He is truly, yes, inspirational actor, truly. And his story, I mean, to lose your voice, like that's you train, and like acting, like you like from LACSA to BU. I've always had voice and speech class. So like you
Oh,
always are working on your voice, and I just remember like hearing him losing his voice, and I was like, oh my god, like that's it's your voice, like that's your instrument, as an
right.
actor, your body, but also your voice. And I just remember, wow. But then he has his kids and everything, and he's living his life, and this is his new chapter in his life. But yes, his whole story is super inspirational. But yes, it was Val Kilmer the other week,
Mm.
and then prior to that it was Gary Oldman.
Oh,
So I like go like I have so many phases, and then like prior to that, it was like Charlie Chaplin. Like, and it's weird because it's like I go throughout like it's not just like consistent like someone from this time for someone from that time. Like it's like all over the place. But yeah,
those are yeah.
I'm a geek about all of this stuff. So I will yeah.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, those are outstanding names. I mean, unbelievable. All those guys. I don't know if you ever saw. There's a movie called True Romance. It was 1993. Have you heard of it?
Yes, yes.
Oh, maybe you saw it.
Yeah. I saw it a while ago. I think I
Okay.
saw it my freshman year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar. And what do you think of Gary Oldman, his character in there? I mean, he
Yeah.
plays some off the wall, completely different guy. I mean, just
Yeah. I mean,
right. It's
Gary Oldman,
crazy.
just in everything that he does, he's just such a chameleon. And
Hmm.
I wish I can do that, in my lifetime. 'Cause, wow. He's insane. Him and Dracula is
Mm.
insane. Oh my god. Just yes, Gary Oldman, he's such an incredible actor, and he's so humble, and he's so, and again, he's a nerd too, and that's, I think that's the thing I love about him. He's such a nerd about being an.
I know, right? You know, one other guy I like is Daniel Day Lewis. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you're
he's
familiar.
Mr. Method. He's the method
Mm.
man, fully physicalized. he
Yeah.
No, he like when he like he eats breakfast according to his character. His wife has been with so many different people, I'm sure, in their lifetime. Like that's crazy. But I mean, he fully commit. Talk about like being committed. He's definitely fully committed.
Oh man, it's
I don't think I
amazing.
could do that though. To be a fully like truthful, I like to do like the whole like. Sometimes I like there's certain things that I'm barely scratching the surface of my journey. But there's been
Uh,
certain like plays that I have done so far in my life, or like short films where I play a character that's like really just not in a good place in their life.
hmm
And I'm
hmm
so happy when I finally get to like let them go and like just enjoy life. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I, and it's not like he's playing, a happy neighbor. He's playing like the butcher. He's playing
yeah.
Lincoln. You know what I mean?
I
So
know.
yeah.
There's another In Cold Blood. Have you heard? Have you seen? No, it's not. I'm sorry. Not that wasn't the name of it. Gosh, where he plays the oil baron from There Will Be Blood. I think that's the name of it. Directed
No,
by Paul.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you have to see that,
Yeah,
Blanca.
I
There
need
Will
to.
Be Blood, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes, I need
Uh,
to. I need to.
yeah, I think it was released in gosh, I don't know, maybe 2010, somewhere around there, 2011. I might be off by a few
That has
years.
Is that Javier Bardem or is that No Country?
That's No Country. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
different one.
Also
Yeah,
need to see that one too.
good one too. Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, I need to see both of those movies.
Yeah, I highly recommend that one. But it's funny. Ralph, let me post a comment that Ralph. We were thinking, great minds think alike, right? Ralph was asking Blanca what actors have inspired you on this journey, on this acting journey, and he asked that right as I was asking the same question. So, big shout out to Ralph once again. But yeah, Blanca. So fast forward now. You've recently tell us a little bit about some of your recent experiences. I think you were in a production called OTP,
Yes.
correct?
I'm
Uh,
currently in tech.
Current.
Yeah. We open on December 8th, which is Thursday, my birthday. Which
Oh,
is a blessing. I am so happy to be acting on my birthday. I've been
that's
very lucky. I've had a lot of full circle moments like that.
that's awesome. Yeah, the stars just line up for you, Blanca.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
no, you don't listen.
I know, but
It's like it's truly like blessings for sure. There's just so many full circle moments that I've had in my life,
yeah.
and I never take those things for granted. And I mean, just in general, I mean, like for example, like I my family has a very complicated immigration story. I'm second generation Mexican American, but my great grandfather from my biological father's side was a bracero, so we have
Mm.
that. And then we also have my great grandfather from my mother's side, Andres Hurtado, and he came here from Michoacan to Laguna Niguel, and he was a butler for this very wealthy screenwriter actress couple who was
Oh,
like retired from the movies. And I always like we always asked them like, do you know the names? And they were little kids, they didn't care. They're like, oh yeah, dad's doing this and that. But I was ask my grandparents, I'm like, do you know the names? And they're like, no, no, no,
oh,
no. And I'm like, no one remembers.
oh.
No one keeps track of anything.
I
But
know.
he worked. He was a butler for them, and because of his position there, that's what brought my grandfather's family to the United States, to Boyle Heights, um,
Oh
because of my
wow.
grandfather. And I just think it makes me proud because no one else in my family does the arts, does acting, music, none of that. And it makes me, proud that my great grandfather came here working for a screenwriter, working for an actress, as a butler, and then now, to like tell him, hey, like your great granddaughter is like actually trying to like be that person and like switch the roles around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many full circle moments. The place that I took East LA rep is no longer there. It's now Legacy LA. And
Mhm.
my senior year, I was a social justice intern working for this campaign called Invest in Youth, and they were partnered with Company of Angels, who shares a theater at the same location. And they're like, "Hey, we're gonna do a reading of this play called Lolo. Do you want to? Can you read for it? We don't. It's not an audition. We just need to hear the voice. The playwright needs to hear the flow of the play." And then I got connected there. And it wasn't until later that I realized that's also where, when I got into the theater, I was like, oh wow, this is also where I took my first acting classes.
Oh
And it
wow.
was like my first feature. So there's so many,
Full
God
cir-
works in mysterious ways, for sure. And there's been so many full circle moments, and I'm very, very blessed, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely, very cool. Yeah, and with Lolo, have you guys shot yet? Is that
Yeah, so it's worked its way around film festivals. It was at the
oh,
inaugural Mexican American Film Festival, and it won awards. It was at the Chinese Theater for a little bit. That whole experience means everything to me. The people I worked with were like Alex Alfaro, Sabina Zuniga Varela, people that I look up to, and I got to work with them. They're a true blessing. And the crew was made up of East LA youth that were interning and working and like seeing what it is to like work behind the scenes, and how what's a slate, and like how to do sound, how to be a DP, and I just love that whole process because it's a film about community, and it was created also by the community, and it meant everything to me. And it was a
that
story about a girl from Baldwin Park, and I was like, that's
wow.
are you gonna hear about that? You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah, that's what a you know um amazing, amazing. And then you got also cast for the upcoming project with Verloren Productions, Macho,
I'm
based
so
on the. I'm sorry.
no, I'm so excited for that.
Ah, I bet, I bet. Yeah, it's yeah, a lot of stuff is just coming down your way, Blanca, and well deserved. It's you if you have the training, you have the talent, the background, the ambition. It's just I'm not surprised. It's
Thank
it's
you. I
just
appreciate
yeah,
that.
of course, of course. No, I can't wait to continue to track your career and see where you go. And um who knows, maybe we'll work together one day. And you
Yes.
just that would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Blanca, what are as we start to wind down here, Blanca, what can you tell us, what would you like to see yourself in maybe 1 to 3 years?
Mm.
What can you have you kind of envisioned? What's your vision,
Oh,
post BU and through your career, and
yeah.
what are those?
Well, yes, like graduating from BU would that's like first and foremost. I'm a first generation college student, so that's like that's gonna be an emotional day for sure.
Oh
Not
wow.
only like graduate from college, but also to graduate with a degree in acting with my
Hmm.
family, like that's crazy. Like that's so I'm definitely that's goal number one. And then also, I've been asked by my peers, because we asked each other, are you gonna stay on the East Coast? Are you gonna go to LA? Are you gonna go to London? Like, where are you gonna like relocate yourself? And honestly, I mean, LA will always forever and ever be home because of my family, because of roots there,
Hmm.
Ura, like all of it. Like that is forever my home. Um, but honestly, just acting is such a, again, in a scene, you can't be a planner, that's for sure. If you want to be an actor, you cannot be a planner. You can do prep work, do your prep work, do your text-based analysis, do, all your dramaturgical work. That's, do all of that. But when you're in the scene, you can't be thinking about that. You have to trust that you've done the work. And I feel like that's also in life as an actor, like you got to trust that you've done the training, but as far as really planning, this just it's a crazy journey that you can't
Yeah,
really plan, and you just have to prepare yourself for everything. You know what I mean? And
very true.
who's to say where I end up, if that's here or if that's in LA. Ideally,
Mm.
I would love to be in film and TV. I love theater and I love being on stage, but the stories that are being told on film and TV are so um, they're just really pushing the boundaries, especially as far as representation goes, especially in TV. And I would love to be like in a mini series, like Ryan Murphy. Oh, I love Ryan Murphy, like American Horror Story, all of
Um,
that, like all the work that he does. I would love to be just like in a 1 hour drama series
yeah.
like that. That would be so cool. So yes, I would love to be given the opportunity to work on a set like that.
Mm. No, there's no limit for you, Blanca. Uh, of course, of course. I want to mention real quick that uh, were you nominated or did you win the Best Actress for Lolo at the film festival? I'm sorry, the Golden State Film
Golden
Festival.
State Film Festival, yes. That's so they had a premiere of it at the Chinese theater, and I wasn't able to go, unfortunately. My family went. They
Oh,
celebrated, they had the whole, they walked the red carpet and all that. But I was in school. I was like,
oh,
I can't go. I'm like, in class. But yes, it won I believe best film and best actress, which was like
wow.
I was at I was at Tasty Burger, which is like the In and Out of Boston.
Okay, okay.
Text from the writer, Chris Banda. Shout out to Chris Banda. Chris Banda, none of this is possible without you. Thank you for trusting
Mm,
me with your story. He's incredible. He's an amazing writer. He's gonna have so many incredible projects coming up. But I got a text from him and he was like, hey, you won. And I was like,
wow.
what? And he was like, you won Best Actress. And I was like, oh my God. And everyone's like, eating their burger, like, okay.
Yeah, in mid bite. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, and there's a picture of you on your Instagram page where you're wearing a tiara or crown,
My
and
Halloween costume, yeah.
oh, okay, it's your Halloween, and you got blood. You got some blood running, dripping
I was like,
down,
oh,
and
you thought it was like FX makeup, huh?
yeah, I thought it was for some role.
No, no, no. It was for we got dressed up for Halloween. But I appreciate that. You know what that means to me? That you think it was like FX level makeup because that was just me in my dorm room, like putting it on.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I wonder what role that was for, what production that was for. Oh
For
my
a
goodness.
party.
I
To
see.
get
I see.
together. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Very cool. Very cool, Blanca. Well, Blanca, it's been such an amazing conversation. Before we wrap things up, where can we see your Lolo, and where can the good people connect with you as well? Go ahead and tell us where we can do that.
So Lolo at the moment is not for public release. It's still, I think they're working it out. Hopefully, I mean, Chicano Hollywood, shout out Chicano Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
I gotta shout them
Johnny.
out. Yes, Johnny. I love Johnny. Incredible person, incredible human being. Um,
Absolutely.
they've also opened up their streaming platform. So I don't know if that's being in the works or not, but I know at the moment it's not because it was doing its, it was working the festival circuit.
Hmm.
Um, but You can find me on Instagram. That's my main, where I put everything at. It's at Blanca A Isabella. And then you can also find me on IMDb, Blanca Isabella. And yeah, that's how you can find me.
Very cool, very cool. No, Blanca, the sky again. Um, there's no limit to where how far you can go. I'm gonna continue to stay connected to you and track you and watch you, you know, ascent into the stratosphere. I wish you all the success, and thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much for putting me on your podcast. It means so much to me that you're invested in my story and that you want to hear about it. That means everything. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your platform. It means a lot. And yes, definitely keep in touch for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah, we will. You're welcome. And no, no, it's just like I said, I like bringing on individuals here who are passionate, who are inspirational, who love what they do, and I mean, you embody all of that. So, um, thanks again. So, looking forward to seeing you to grow and everything. So, thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blanca Isabella. Go follow her. Go check out her work there on Instagram. Connect with her because she is on the rise and super talented, super enthusiastic, passionate about what she does. And wow, it's just what an amazing conversation. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Ralph, Joe, Joaquin, thank you so much for being here. Everybody who's not in the comment section but is tuning in, watching. It's a pleasure being here, being your host here on the Profile Pod. For Blanca Isabella, I'm Double A. We will see you guys next time right here on the Profile Pod, and always remember to take it easy. Peace. Thanks again, Blanca.
Thank you.